Good Wednesday morning, everybody. This is Jeff from Soaring Eagle Realty. This is a new segment, I guess you could call it, that I want to incorporate in my newsletter. I'll probably do it once every other week or every third week, just when news comes out that's relevant. And we're going to call it 2 Minutes with Jeff because I'm going to give you a lowdown on what's going on. Could be local, could be national. What's happening in 2 minutes with me. So here we go. First things first, lumber prices. I know it's been a hot topic lately. Everybody's complaining that wood is so high. If you've gone to Home Depot, you know, you've seen the prices. 2x4s are $85 a piece. They're not, but I just made that up. But lumber prices are high, but they have dropped 42% since all-time highs. So they are coming down, but that's still twice as high as what's normally the normal prices of what we're seeing this time of year. A recent report came out that new home construction, the demands, builders need to build about 3.8 million homes to meet the demand. So lumber prices are probably going to stabilize and still be high because there is that demand, and builders know this. So that's going to kind of keep the prices high. Next thing we're going to talk about is mortgages. What we are seeing right now with mortgages is some mortgage standards or credit standards loosening for mortgage. There is an index that everybody can follow. It's called the Mortgage Credit Availability Index. And what that does is track how tight or how loose mortgages are, or, the standards. Now, if you all remember, pre-pandemic, or I'm sorry, pre-crash 2007, everybody was subprime mortgages and this and that is kind of what got us into the mess. And then there was laws that were passed and put in place that we couldn't get that again. So this index kind of tracks, how loose or how tight the lending, banks and mortgages are giving out more, financing for homes. So pre-pandemic, the number was all the way up at 180. I guess 100 is the benchmark, and 180 is what it was pre-pandemic. September, the pandemic hit and it dropped. It dropped big. And it kept dropping till about September 2020, where it hit a low number of 120. So we went from 180 to 120. That number has since climbed back up, and last month it was reported that it was 129.9, with an increase from April to May. So that's good news. That just means that we're headed in the right direction. If everybody saw last week, Federal Reserve Chair Jerome Powell said that they're not going to be raising interest rates, and he actually came out yesterday and said that they're not going to be raising interest rates based on the fear of just inflation alone. So they're probably going to be looking for some actual data and not just the fear of inflation before they start raising inflation rates. So that's good as well. Last and not least, this was the 15th consecutive week that mortgage forbearance numbers went down. So if everybody remembers, when the pandemic hit, a lot of mortgage companies, people took advantage of what's called mortgage forbearance. And those were people who have a difficult time paying their mortgages, and now those people are catching up on those payments. So that's great news. The number has declined for the 15th consecutive week. So more and more people are getting caught up on their payments. I believe the banks originally gave 15 months to, get people caught up, and that's actually ending at the end of June. So we're coming up to the end of the forbearance period. And the reason I talk about this is because people in the market or people in the industry think that, oh my God, there's going to be a bunch of foreclosures now. There's going to be just this slew of foreclosures of people who couldn't make their payments. That's not going to be the case. It's not going to be the case for two reasons. One is because that people are getting caught up on their payments. And two, the easiest way to explain it is the mortgage companies learned so much from the crash, back in 2008, 9, 10. Mortgage companies didn't want to keep these assets on their books, so they just completely just said, put everything for sale, fire sale, let's get these off our books so that we can move on and get rid of these assets and, so forth. Well, what they did is they actually ended up hurting themselves by flooding the market and actually driving the prices down. I think the banks and the lending institutions learned a very, very valuable financial lesson last time they did this. And if there are foreclosures, you're not going to see a flood hit the market. You're going to see them very strategically placed here, there, kind of piecemealed. So it doesn't really have such an impact on the market. We all know the market's crazy. If you're a buyer, it's super difficult right now for you to actually just get a home under contract. We've been fortunate enough to work with some buyers this year who actually have found a home, so that's great. I'm really happy to say that, but overall, still tough for buyers. So, how do all these three things that I just spoke of tie together? Well, you have the lumber prices coming down, which is good, but home builders have to build 3.8 million homes to keep up with current demand. The credit standards are loosening. We saw all-time low dip from 180 to 120, and now it's up to almost 130. So we're headed back up in the right direction. In 15 consecutive weeks of mortgage forbearance numbers going down, this all means one thing. The market is not going to cool off. We're not going to be headed for another crash. I mean, people can speculate that we're in a bubble. The prices are, it's going to pop sometimes. I don't see that in the foreseeable future. The numbers, the metrics that we can look at and the data all point to a strong market, all point to things headed up. And I think that's the direction we're going to go in the foreseeable future. I guess that's just my take right here. So if you have any questions or anything, feel free to shoot me an email, Jeff@Soaring Eagle Realty. And always, if there's anything in the world I could do for you, let me know. Catch you next time.